Yeah. So we continue this. The shloka number 6. Yada sankshiyati prano manasam cha praliyati tada samarasatvam cha samadhiram vidhiyate. Then the breathing, prana, gradually perishes and the mind, manasam, becomes dissolved. Then that verily the state of tranquility, samarasatvam, is called samadhi. So the topic related with mind and energy. So relationship amongst the two elements, manas. And,
do you want to talk a bit about manas? What manas might mean?
Manas, I think it is mind. You can translate like mind, but
what sort of mind?
I think manas. So we have different functions of our consciousness. So like buddhi, manas, ahamkara, and and chitta. So chitta, consciousness, and manas, I think it is aspects of consciousness which are related with indriyas, with
faculties,
with senses.
So it's more an organising mind.
Yeah.
The mind as organising reality and making things happen. So
more close to physical dimension.
Yes. So not mind in the sense of consciousness, but mind in the sense of what happens when a person does something, when they do an action or something, then they're thinking about what they're doing. And so
it is normally associated with vritti, with modifications of our consciousness. So the description, so when mind dissolved, prana also dissolved, or when prana dissolved, same happened with mind. So in that case happened samadhi.
So the manas is very busy then, is it? It's very busy.
It is, Patanjali, he said, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, so the peacefulness of mind. In Hatha Yoga, so there you can say prana vritti nirodha, you can say like that. So modifications of prana stop. So therefore, another chapter, Svatmarama, he said, everything what available in Hatha Yoga dedicated to Raja Yoga. So Raja Yoga and Hatha, so they interrelated from each other.
So you're talking about prana. Perhaps talk about what does prana mean here in this? Because it has many meanings. The word prana or breath.
Yeah. So breath. I think prana manasam cha praliyate. Prana normally the truth it is, you can translate like breathing, I think. But there are more context what is prana. So it's not like, so breathing, it is important functions in our body. Without breathing anyone can die. So therefore this is associated. Prana means life also. Something what's active.
It could be like vital force.
Vital force, you can translate. All our sense work by prana, and mind also depends by prana. Also, sometimes in Hatha Yoga they think what prana more subtle even than mind.
Well, certainly in Kashmir Shaivism, I mean, your word of vital force is a very good one, because vital force, and breath, all these things get together, and energy, because a person runs out of breath. it means that they've run out of energy, doesn't it? In ordinary English language. And in Kashmir Shaivism, then you have the series of consciousness, breath, and mind, other things too. But so from the consciousness comes the breath, so the vital force, if you like, the energy, the outgoing projections of manifestations, and then of course the manas comes, because the manas is going to organise things. So it's that nice, so you've got the vital force, and then the manas organises the vital force, you might say, interactions of one sort or another. So it's a nice sequence of this Kashmir Shaivism, a nice sequence of things of consciousness, vital force or prana or breath, and then manas, mind, organising mind. And of course the whole shloka here is that you move in the opposite direction. So by quietening the mind and quietening the breath, then you go back to the origins. And here it's described as samarasatvam.
This is very interesting. I think there would be some difference between point of view about prana in Kashmiri Shaivism and in Hatha Yoga. So because sometimes they said that prana more subtle than mind. Oh, okay.
Yes,
mind.
Kashmir would say the same thing.
What is the mind? So this
yes,
also
yes,
topic.
Yes. But samarasatvam, so sama means same, rasa means feeling, taste, all that sorts of things. So when all the different tastes which we separate out, sour, sweet, bitter, so different tastes like that, when everything merges into one flavour, the samarasa, so all the differences disappear and there's unity. And so all the different flavours, if you like, of life are returned to their source. And so that's this idea of going back to what is equanimity and stability, and which is very... the image that's given in Kashmir Shaivism is that of the sea. When you go to the sea, there are waves, and this is the mind, even the breath. But then when you go to, when all the waves settle down, and there's a complete peace, like in a lake or something like that, or the restless sea ceases to be restless and becomes perfectly still, then this is the high point. And so the stillness of the lake is the image of samarasa. And so we want to go away from the fluctuations of life, being tossed this way and that, to stillness.
I think also rasa can be translated like life, so different aspects of life. So rasa can translate like test. So this is different experience of life, this is different tests. So sometimes we have bitter experience, sometimes sweet, many different. So an equal means some reality which inside of, behind of that forms. And,
could I say something about breath in the Christian tradition?
yeah, it's so interesting.
Because there are two major scenes. The first one, this is the story of creation, you know, God makes the forms the human being out of dust like a little clay doll, and then breathes into that clay doll the breath of life. And then the clay doll stands up and is a living human being. So it's a beautiful image of the breath coming into what is just mere clay and becomes a human being. So it's a beautiful image. So that the human being now is full of the life which comes from God, you see, because God is breathing from his own mouth. It's all imagery, you know, but breathing from his own mouth into the clay doll, and then the doll becomes alive. And so that the life that's in a person, this vital force that you mentioned, is a divine element. So it's very significant. Then the next image is that of Jesus on the day of resurrection. And it's very intended to be a counterpart to the other story. So Jesus appears, he's been crucified, he's risen from the dead, he now appears to the disciples, he shows the wounds in his hands, so he's both alive and dead, both together. And then he breathes on them, and he says, receive Holy Spirit. So it's very clearly a counterpart to the first story. So he breathing on them and received the Holy Spirit. So now there's another spirit, another breath, which is the breath that comes from the paradox of life and death. So it's a very special breath. It's not the breath that is breathed in the other story, but now it's the breath that comes from life and death together. And this links up with the idea of sacrifice, you see, because sacrifice is essentially that moment when life and death come together, always in sacrifice. So you sacrifice an animal, and then the animal is killed, so something that's living is killed, but then from that life-death experience of the animal, then blessing comes. That's why sacrifice is done, is to bring blessing to those who do the sacrifice. And so here we have Jesus is the one who is sacrificed, and from his sacrifice comes this breath, this Holy Spirit. The word spirit is simply a Latin word meaning breath, so the holy breath. And that's available, you see, it's available. It's breathed on the disciples, but also upon the whole world, so that another breath becomes available, which can be used if people want to use it, and sort of a force of life which transcends both life and death. And so it's not just confined to life.
It means life never stops.
Well, it's a fullness of life that transcends life and death. And that's the whole question, is transcending life and death. That's what we. So we don't want to be caught up in the fluctuations of living and dying, which are just these are fluctuations. We want to go beyond the fluctuations of living and dying, being born, being reborn, and all that sort of thing, and to acquire a state which is the fullness of life, which is beyond life and death. I think that's. So I think it ties in very nicely with this shloka here.
So in Christian tradition, this breath associated with soul, the spirit.
Well, Holy Spirit, you see, so it's something divine. It's not soul. It's something divine, and essentially divine. So it is the Holy Spirit, and is breathed on them. So there is a divine force available which transcends life and death, which comes from the paradox of life and death. This is all comes from sacrifice, which is paradox. All sacrifice is paradox, and so it comes from that, and then leads to a state of perfect tranquility, samarasatvam, because if something is beyond life and death, then what can disturb it? Can't be disturbed by living or dying.
Yeah, well, this is tranquility. You can say it is also sort of pranayama, because pranayama it can be translated like prana, so life force, and ayama, it is extension. So they are not limitation with prana. So the
Yes.
samarasatvam. But nowadays many people I think understand that pranayama like on this sort of techniques. So I heard from some Indian practitioners that you can get stage of pranayama, not only by technique, the technical way. For example, if you do some techniques and you not control your senses during any activities, so you lose your prana. So, or you can practice vairagya. You can practice vairagya.
What does vairagya mean?
Vairagya means it is derived from raga. Raga is desire, some attachment to different objects, some very pleasurable, enjoyable. So so this it creates limitations. Limitations for your mind and prana. So when you pacify your desire, so dissolve slowly, so you can preserve your energy, your vital force. So therefore, pranayama should be together with a special lifestyle. It is impossible to get samadhi like pranayama, like techniques only. And many people believe on it is possible, but very few who can get. The aim of pranayama actually is samadhi or deep meditation. You can see there. So before this, because normally there are two sorts of pranayama. One sahita. Sahita, it is vichaka, puraka. So and kumbhaka. And you hold your breathing with inhalation, exhalation. But kevali means one, without movement of your breathing. So kevali possible only in deep meditation. So the main reason of that pranayama samadhi. So therefore in this shloka he said when breathing stopping, so this is samadhi. Or when mind become peaceful, also it is samadhi.
Because the breath indicates the emotions. If a person is anxious, then the breath has a certain quality. If they, so the breath does indicate the emotions of the soul, of the heart, and the aim is to make the breath slower and slower, and ideally speaking, the yogi who reaches full yogic capacity or being breathes once and recites the mantra once, because there's no need to recite it a second time, no need to breathe a second time, because everything is breathed in one breath, everything is said in the one mantra. So things slow right down, and there's only one breath and one mantra.
You can see, sometimes in some scriptures you can see description also pranayama with mantra, samantraka, and without mantra, amantraka pranayama. So this this is very good what you mentioned, mantra. This is a help to make deep concentration in the mantra. And in many yoga centers you can see people how they perform pranayama like so like this. So there should be very smoothly, and during pranayama you should do meditation. Why it is important that breathing? When you cannot control your consciousness, if this consciousness disturbed, by raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. So in that time you use breathing like support, because mind and breathing interrelated. So, but if you do just meditation without any support, niragamba, which you mentioned also last shlokas, so yeah, you can just sit and aware yourself and in peaceful condition.
Any questions you'd like to ask or any comments? Because this is a big topic, we could say many more things, but perhaps there's...
I think maybe we can continue this topic also, maybe a few lessons, because prana.
Because there are many types of prana, and there's all sorts of pranas in there. Yes, there's we can mention 5 pranas, which is well known in yoga, and it goes on and on. And but perhaps we could take this as Yogi says, another topic for another.
Yeah, there prana. We consider prana. Also, you mentioned mantras, and so normally yoga teachers who somehow understand what this is. Prana is like bridge between Bahiranga and Antaranga yoga. So external practice and internal practice. So therefore they touch this topic very, very carefully, and also with mantras. So practice with mantra.
Because the technique of meditation can use mantras, and that's fine, but can also use just the breath. So a person focuses just on the breath, which can be the inhalation, exhalation, or can be on the vital forces that you mentioned. So all the reactions, all the activities, all the things that are happening inside us, these are all forms of prana. And to focus on those and to allow them to be. It's very important, I think, to allow them to be. And so in the process of they're giving permission to be, then they quieten down. It's like children. When children are playing up a little bit, it's not terribly helpful to be, trying to scold them or things like that, because they just play up some more. So in a sense, they've got to let them quieten down. And so I think that's, I'm not saying how to bring up children, but I think there's an element of that in the just allowing by focusing upon the breath, then the breath becomes pacified, it becomes satisfied, and it slows right down and becomes very quiet, and then eventually ceases in the sense of being a disturbance of any sort.
Yeah, also mantra, the meaning derived from root man. Man means mind. Mantra, tra it will be protection. So mind which disturbed is not protected. So peaceful mind. Therefore, proper mantra, which by which you can merge to something supreme.
So I think it's a question of bringing the right attitude to these things. So a person who focuses upon the breath, increasingly being accepting of the breath, and likewise for the mantra, to increasingly accept, so the right attitude is adopted towards the mantra, and the mantra is allowed to do its work, and allowed to be what it is. And so I think it's a question of simply having the right attitude in these things, the sankalpa, the right attitude, and then everything quietens down. And this means being free of attachments, being free of ambitions, being free of resentments, and being reconciled, and being at peace with people, with oneself, and all that sort of thing. And so then everything quietens down, and one comes to that peaceful, still surface of the lake, which is...
Could I ask?
Yes.
Just with your talking about the paradox of sacrifice, and how sacrifice in the Christian tradition is a critical part of it.
Yes.
Can you speak on the concept of sacrifice within your tradition and any practices that have that idea
Oh
in
yeah,
it?
this in Bhagavad Gita, I think, in Bhagavad Gita, they mentioned sacrifice like so hold your breathing. I mean, it means pranayama. So pranayama, it is also sort of sacrifice. So there are different sort of sacrifice, like external, when you offer some rice and barley to fire, and it can bring some external result, material like money, like fame, etc. And eternal, antaryajna, so related with breathing. So when prana, sacrifice to apana, apana sacrifice to prana. I think it is also related with Kashmirian Shaivism maybe.
I think you'll use the word prana and apana. You might perhaps have to explain what is prana and apana. Because if prana is sacrifice to apana and apana is sacrifice to... what does that mean?
The two main pranas which go in outside, inside. So when we inhale inside, so this is breathing going to inside and down, it is apana, and exhale, breathing going through nostril out, it is prana, because prana is related with something external, and from prana depend our functions of senses. So
there's mutual sacrifice then of the breaths one to the other, or the offering of rice to the fire, or the flower to the goddess, for example. Then this is all forms of sacrifice, isn't it?
And also when you do the breathing continuously, it's called the japa, soham, I am he. So there are no description what actually he is. So it will be any deity, and so this is main mantra in yoga, soham. So you sacrifice by breathing yourself to something supreme. So therefore they use this breathing like sort of sacrifice. When this breathing stop, so you sacrifice yourself completely.
It's a big theme. The theme of sacrifice is a huge theme, perhaps for another occasion, I think. But I think it is vital toward our discussion. But a separate topic, perhaps.
But also, if you practice any sort of mantra, so after sometimes you can feel what that mantra. So mantra, it is a subtle level of deity. So you can feel any deity like Soham. So
can I just say a bit on that? The subtle form of the deity. I think you have the deity, and then the deity is, if you like, embodied in the mantra. The mantra is the phonic. They talk about this the way they talk. The phonic form of the deity. So to use the mantra of the deity is to come in contact, very, very close contact with the deity. And so when the person uses the deity's mantra, they are in fact uniting with the deity.
Yeah, become.
coming
So he can accept that CD of the deity. In that case, you can say this is a you realized mantra CD. And yeah, but finally, you can through that practice, you can get condition of a japa, and
perhaps a japa you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's continuous. So when you continuously remember that mantra, so normally you practice 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, but when you feel energy of that deity very sincerely, and you understand, so it is very helpful for you. This is something pure. So therefore, devotion also important there. So you have devotion with understanding what you cannot be without this, supreme source. So in that case, your mantra become a japa, and you become one with the deity. This is a very high stage. It is, even if difficult to remember that mantra Om Namah Shivaya, for example, or you cannot repeat it during your normal activities, but you can feel vibration or energy, Shakti. You understand this is also related with your vital force. And when you can merge to that vibration, so your practice become like nada anusandhana. You can feel it anahata sound, which appear in your nature, in your core, spontaneous vibration. So.
Are mantras all attached to deities or not?
Yeah. Normally, but different mantras you can find. But anyway,
there are different stages of mantras. So, but ultimately, a mantra, properly speaking, is the phonic form of a deity. Now, what you mean by the word deity, of course, depends on what philosophical system you're working with. But it is the expression of the system, if you like, or the expression of the deity. And so to recite the mantra is to come into contact with the tradition, and with the gurus who belong to the tradition, and with the deities who bring the tradition about. And so it is linked there, but a person can recite a mantra without necessarily thinking of the deity. So it can be just a device for quietening the mind. So you're doing something, and so the mind becomes quiet. But the mantra achieves its full purpose and strength if it is linked to, it is seen as the phonic form of the deity, because the deity is more supreme, a bigger thing than just quietening the mind. And the deity is a source of freedom, and so to recite the mantra of the deity is to acquire the freedom of the deity. So there are different levels on which it can be taken.
So along the same lines then, can you recite the mantra without vocalising it? So in your mind,
yes, absolutely.
And is that just as strong as it? Is it more strong if it's vocal?
Stage. You can chanting. It's called vachaka. Repeat the mantra, and another person can listen like Om Namah Shivaya, or you can do like Upanshu.
So you whisper softly.
Or mentally, manasika japa. You just in mind. So manasika more subtle than than physical chanting.
There is an advantage in saying it aloud, because then the whole body is involved.
You feel the vibrations literally.
Yes. So at a first stage, to say it out loud is valuable, but then progressively it becomes more silent. And So sometimes people don't use the external form, they begin with the internal form, and I think that's a bit of a weakness. I think it's important to actually say the thing audibly and then to move.
Yeah, mantra, the very sacred things related with mantras. So, because if you become equal with that mantra and deity, it is something which related with your nature. So therefore, you cannot share this with everyone. So therefore, traditionally they keep a secret. So that mantra which accepted by gurus, actually it is mantra accepted from gurus and the deity as well. So therefore, share this with another person. It is like, somebody give you big money in your bank account and you give password for everyone. Something like this. So therefore,
there is a value in secrecy. And that they say that to share the mantra with another person is to debase it.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
So the guru will give the mantra in the initiation. The giving of the mantra is the essence of initiation, and so that is given to the person for them to use. You might say it's a secret between the guru and the disciple, and secrets have power in them, and to have this as a mark of unity with the guru is, I think, very valuable. So that when the disciple recites, we move on to another topic now. When the disciple recites the mantra, then they are also, to do many things, but they're also uniting themselves with their guru, and they're obeying their guru, they're following their guru, and they're living out their guru's character, because the guru gives his character too in giving the mantra. So not only the deity, the mantra is not only the phonic form of the deity, but also the phonic form of the guru. So it all flows through. And so there's a close union then between the guru and the disciple when the disciple recites the mantra given by the guru.
Yeah, this is also, as we considered before, about topic of guru and shishya. So I think it's necessary to be very sure to accept that initiation from that guru, to have real confidence.
Real confidence in the guru.
And also, guru, if he give mantras very easily for everyone, he can lose his power. It is like money. So if you invest to some business which is not proper, so you can become bankrupt. Or if you invest money to a good source, so that business can grow in.